Hello and welcome to Scott Rock.
Where your hosts from Climb Scotland, Robert Mackenzie,
and me, Cal McBain, catch up with climbers every 2 weeks who have different epic tales to tell us.
We hope you enjoy the show.
And remember, when you're out climbing, be safe and do your buddy checks.
Hello and welcome back to Scott Rock. This week we are diving deep into our Scottish climbing heroes pool to talk to an absolute bloody legend. Yes, I was honoured to be sitting down with one of Scotland's most well-known, most well-loved, most respected all-round athletes that we've ever produced, to try, and I say try, to record something that was mildly PC that could potentially be released to the public. Yeah, you can be the judge of that. Yes, if you are not a climber, you may not have heard of him, but if you call yourself a Scottish climber at all, then you've probably heard whispers of the legend that they call Kev Shields. Kev is the epitome of breaking barriers, pushing his limits, taking justified risks, and giving the naysayers the big middle finger. Always coming with the best of banter and a no one can stop me but me attitude. His life and his climbing career are just inspiring. And don't think this is me talking to an old retired Kev. No, not at all. Now the family man is still out there redefining what his acceptable risks are and ever pushing himself and putting up some sick new lines in the process. So please, chill out for an hour and catch up with a true Scottish climbing hero that is Kev Shields. So I'm hoping that everybody everyone that's listened to this, that's heard your name already, you're pretty famous within, don't roll your eyes, you're pretty famous within the Scottish climbing community. Most people that call themselves Scottish climbers have heard your name at least, whether that's for good reasons or bad reasons. Those that have heard of you either know you for, an incredible climbing career and the roller coaster that has been, or as being the absolute character that we all have come to love.
I don't know about love.
But I'd be interested to know, so a lot of people, they know you for either one or the other. But I'd be interested to know how you actually describe yourself these days. Because you've been in the game for a while now. You've had a roller coaster of a journey. Things have changed. You've somehow grown up.
No, I'm not going to go that far. But just have responsibilities. I don't have to be a grown up just because I've got responsibilities. Maybe I do, but I'm not.
What was it? The growing up is inevitable. Growing old is inevitable. Growing up is optional.
Aye, exactly. Yeah. Man, that is very
true. But because of this roller coaster, I'd be interested to know how you would describe yourself now versus how 25-year-olds back when you were, soloing E5s, E6s. How would you describe yourself then, and how would you describe yourself now? How has this changed?
I genuinely don't think there's that much difference. I just think when I'm doing dangerous stuff, I'm not doing maybe just as much of it, but when I'm doing it, I just justify it in a different way.
Yeah.
And that's it, really. But I'm still just a climber, really, and that's it. I'm a climber that likes a dram. That's it.
Before you had all these extra responsibilities, back when you were young and really pushing free, you better hope your kids don't listen to this. How would you have described yourself as a climber? Because you were you were a good bit of an all-rounder. You did a lot of different things.
I definitely an all-rounder. I don't think I was ever reckless as a climber, but there was certainly routes and things that I did that I didn't really give a shit about the consequences. I was happy to push things way further, than most folk. probably would. In relative terms, on my capabilities.
Everything's relative. Everyone's got their own risk reward balance. Like
to how far I would go, I would solo things that were right on or probably beyond, my capabilities. But I just wanted to do them, and that was it. Once I got it in my mind, it was going to happen.
Yeah.
One way or another.
See, I think you were maybe a few years out of that golden era where
You're starting to make me feel old now with some of this shit that
you're
you're saying.
Look at the colour of your hair, man.
That's what kids do to you.
You're maybe a couple of years out of the golden era of Cubby and Gary Latter and Kev Howard and that, when they were just going out and soloing all this mega stuff.
Yeah.
And the generation that you were climbing in, there were some hardcore people, but not many soloing all that kind of stuff. I think you were a little late in the game for that golden era, but with the same kind of attitude.
I prefer to be that way, to be honest with you. I mean, I would love to have been about, back in even going further back, to the 50s and 60s, that when you could just, rock up in Glencoe and be like, well, I'm going to go climb that, and that'll be a new route.
Would you have been just as good or ballsy in hobnail boots, though?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if I'd be keen in massive runouts with a bit of hemp rope tied round about my waist. I think I'd rather the soloing than facing getting chopped in half when I fell off or something.
So I want to get into that sort of mindset of young Kev. And, people have talked to you a lot about lots of things, but I want to kind of focus on the climbing side. So let's start with kind of where it began.
So I guess it was, again, quite a traditional start for me by UK terms, and that my dad started me hill walking, when I was really, really young. And it just escalated really for there. Then I ended up going out to the Munros with a pal of his who was on the Police Hill Rescue team, spending a lot of time with them, going out training, then going out with the Search and Rescue Dug Association. Just basically any excuse to be out in the hills, and then that would be kind of all the way through to my teens, into my late teens, and then obviously, I was hitting the pub and whatever else at that point.
Where were you? Was it you Largs?
Ayrshire.
Ayrshire.
Yeah, well, a place called Dorey down in Ayrshire. It's
right, okay.
Shithole. Largs is nice. Dorey's no. And then I became epileptic just before my 21st birthday, and that was me that kind of knocked the wind out my sails for a wee while. And then I went back to wanted to get into scrambling, and just I couldn't find anybody to go climbing with or doing, because Dorey's not really a sports focused town,
No.
So I just ended up going to Arran quite a lot, because obviously I couldn't drive at the time, because I lost my licence because of the epilepsy and stuff like that. And the ferry to Arran's 20 minutes away from us, so just get on the ferry, go to Arran and be like, right, I'm going to go to that ridge today, go to this, go to that, and just tons and tons of time myself. And that's probably where the soloing started for you, really, was doing that. And then I thought, well, I can do this scrambling, why not try rock climbing next and get to the rock climbing.
Natural progression.
Yep. And then I started trying to thinking, right, I need to find folk to climb with. Went to a local climbing club down there, and we went cragging one night, and everybody was like, oh, these are the hard projects at this wee crag that they went to, and it'll be a wee while before you can do that. There was just this arrogance of, I'm just this punter, basically. I thought, oh, fuck this shit. So I just on-site soloed everything that was their projects, just to fuck you, you're not telling me what I'm going to be climbing. I just never went back after all that, and just went and did my own thing. Just like, that's no for me.
Yeah. I love it. That attitude is kind of what I've always known you for. Everything that I've ever heard of you doing in climbing, period, has all kind of had that attitude to it. I'm gonna do it. You can't tell me no.
Sorry if I'm swearing a lot.
That is quite alright. If I did an interview with you and you didn't swear, people would think that it's fake.
Aye, they probably
Aye.
would. Aye, definitely. I thought there's no probably. They
Like this
definitely
interview kind of has to be like borderline releasable.
Aye, well, I'll definitely manage that for you.
Where did that attitude come from?
I think probably a mixture of a few things. I think the area that I was brought up in is quite a hard area,
Aye.
and when you're already in a hard area, I mean, I was brought up when the miners' strike and all that stuff was going on, so I remember all that kind of that attitude at that time. But also being the only disabled guy in the school with a noticeable disability, having only one hand, I was obviously picked on at school and spent a lot of time fighting, and then being told, you can't do certain things. When I wanted to join the army, being told I can't do that. So all these things probably come together to form that attitude.
I kind of wondered if that's where it was coming from, as like, no, screw you. I've got this, but it's not going to stop me doing anything.
Is it that and just upbringing in general? So, like, my mum and dad are not the mollycoddling type at all. So they were like the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that that's what they were like. They never, felt sorry for me or, hid me away from the real world or anything like that. It was like, I would come out of hospital for operations as a kid on my hand, like the various things that they did with it. And like the first thing they did would be like, right, learn to tie your shoelaces again, just crack on with it. It was school sports day, we're wearing a flaming plaster cast, crack on with it, go on with it. Nay.
Good.
Oh, poor wee Kevin. There's none of that shit at all. It's get out and go on with it. Like even my dad being a joiner, like I didn't have to go out and work with him, but it was implied that it would be advisable that I went out and worked with him, just to help out and do my bit. And like figuring out how to put in nails.
Yeah.
And it's alright when the nails are longer than my actual hand is where I can hold it, but when they're shorter and you're hitting them in, the amount of times that I've smashed that home with a hammer, you have to learn to do things. And that went right the way through to like when I had my epilepsy. Like the minute I got out of hospital after having epilepsy, it had me up the bloody roof working. Whatever it means, it's just like, there's no pissing about. It's like,
exactly where you want someone with epilepsy at height.
You're out of hospital now, right? That means you're fine, crack on. But that's brilliant. I love my mum and dad for having brought me up like that.
It's a good way of being brought up, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Like no matter what comes to you, you got to battle through it.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what grabbed you about climbing? I've worked with a lot of people that have got various disabilities, and the ones that really take the climbing are the ones that are so just astonished that they can do climbing, like climbing so far beyond what they would normally have considered they'd be able to do, and actually it's very accessible. I can do it.
Yep.
It's like, is that partially what grabbed you about climbing?
Partially, yep, definitely. I think climbing is massively accessible. It doesn't matter which round you can. There's guys going up Elcap that can't walk, but they can climb up Elcap, and it's just like, they figure out a way. They get on with doing it, definitely. The draw for me with climbing is probably, again, it's a mixing pot of these things. My dad bringing me up, being outdoors, my family bringing me up with the intention that I was going to go to the military, because that's what a lot of my family did, and that's what I wanted to go and get into the army and go to the SAS. That was my ambition for as far back as I can remember, was to go to that level. It was just to get into something and be at the tip of the spear, That was, again, it's one of these things that have been brought up. If you're going to do something, try to be the best you can possibly be 100% at it. It's like, one of my grandfathers, he was an engineer and he was right at the top of the game of what he did. My dad was a carpenter, like a really, really skilled carpenter, and that was his thing, and that was going to be my thing, was to try and be the best at it, but that didn't happen. So I guess climbing, getting brought into that, then no getting into the military, so I needed something that was adventurous and risky and it had teamwork,
something you can push yourself at.
You could form a bond with folk because you've kind of had a fight to an extent, and that climbing for me, a lot of it is just about having a battle. I want it to be tough and risky and whatever else, and it does form that bond. So it has filled some of that void in my life that not having made it into the military gave me, definitely. But it was just a draw to to the outdoors as well, you know, just being out there in the hills.
I suppose coming from like the flatlands of Ayrshire.
Aye, but I mean, you know, we had the moors and stuff down there, and it was great. Again, you've got all that stuff. You can still get up into the hills to an extent, but it's not like being up here.
Nah.
You know, in the proper.
Once you've had a taste of it, you know, if you go across to Arran, you get a taste of that.
Oh,
the flatlands aren't going to do.
Aye.
They're just not going to.
When you're sitting across on Goat Fella, whatever, you're looking back across at Ayrshire, and you think, I'd much rather, you know,
just be a hermit out in the hill here.
Aye, exactly. Like, there's definitely one day in particular I remember on Arran, and it's like a kind of game changer to an extent day for me. Yeah, I was working for the MOD at the time, and I did a day off, went to Arran, and I'd just done the Witch's Step, and it was like midweek, and I was just sitting there myself, and there was like beams of light cracking through, you know, between Keirvor and, you know, like the Witch's Step and stuff like that, down into Glen Sannox, and I just thought, I'm quitting my job. I don't want to work full time anymore. I want more time.
What were you working
as? For me. I was just a labourer.
Right.
Armament base for them. And that was it. Nothing interesting.
Yeah.
I probably digressed a wee bit for your original.
No, that's digress away. No, I've heard you, you know, speaking before about trying to get jobs and stuff, and we keep saying disability. For those who don't know, Kev, do you want to describe? Or do you want me to describe? Because I'm going to be like,
I've got one horn and I'm epileptic. That's it.
You're missing a few fingers.
Aye.
As your dad say, get on with it.
Aye, exactly.
But you know, I've heard you speaking before about trying to get jobs and stuff, and as soon as people hear the term disabled, they pigeonhole you into, you can only do this job, you can only do that job, and I know that a lot your attitude of screw you, I'm going to do what I want to do, not what you tell me to do, definitely kept you out of the call centres.
Aye.
But I wondered if that was, you know, part of why you ended up pushing yourself so hard in climbing. Like, obviously you got the, you know, you wanted to give 100% to something, like that was your thing, but also being told, you know, there's a limit here, and you know, did you have that kind of screw you? No, I'm gonna surpass that.
Do you mean a limit in climbing to what I can do?
Yeah.
Or I think when I started at first, folk were really surprised that, you know, I was even, you know, getting up easy stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, even the scrambles were like, I've got to try that. Like, you know, and then the climbing, you could see it. Like, I was definitely aware when I was going to the climbing wall on a regular basis, you know, down in Glasgow, so it's like busy with folk, and they see you climbing, and you would definitely be aware of folk watching what you were doing, or folk pointing, you know, maybe not pointing, but if they thought it had been subtle, I can pick up on when folk see my hand, because I'm aware of it, and I always have been through my life. So when you see folk, you always think, are they doubting what you can do? And that's an extra drive as well. But I've definitely learned all my life to take what's somebody's negativity, and I can turn that on itself to make me do better things. So it is an extra bit of drive.
Yeah.
But I don't see these things as a negative anymore. I kind of love all that negative shit, and then
it gives you a chance to prove them wrong.
I can flip that on itself and use it for something else. So to me, it's a good thing.
When did that kind of start then? Did you ever have that moment where you're like, right, okay, I am going to be the best? Or was it...
No.
Was it... Have you had the thought process of I'm going to be the best, or was it like I'm going to do the best that I can do, or were you kind of just along for the ride?
No. So I've never ever thought I'm going to be the best. Always just want to see how far I can go physically and mentally as well at the same time. For me, climbing's probably different for me than it is for a vast majority of folks. A lot of folk do it, and it's a hobby, and it's something that they really enjoy doing, and it is something that I really enjoy doing. But for me, it's about pushing my disabilities and seeing how far. So, like, you know, the physical act of climbing is a challenge to my hand, and climbing bold stuff, you know, that mental control that you need to be doing that, I feel that gives me control over my epilepsy as well, and the mental health problems that kind of brings on. So for me, it's about challenging all that stuff that I've got going on internally. fair enough, at the beginning there was probably a bit of, I need to prove a point here and show folk. But I kind of got to a point and I thought, well, I've done that now and I don't really give a shit what MD thinks. This is about me trying to prove to myself, which is a lot harder than, you know, proving a point to anybody else.
Yeah, it's
proving
easy
it
to
to
prove a
yourself
point to
is
someone else.
much harder.
Yeah.
And it involves a lot more soul searching is a pointy way of putting it, but it involves a lot more like delving into your own mindset, which can be a bloody scary place to be sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I've messed myself up like a couple of times probably mentally, you know, take myself into like really dark places to try and do hard, dangerous things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because like you've, you know, like I said at the start, you're a good all-rounder, you've done a lot of stuff, but most of the stuff that I've come across you doing has been pretty bold, gnarly, scary stuff.
Aye.
You know?
That seems to be where I excel. It's not where I set out to excel at. It just seemed to be, that's what I enjoyed, that's what I got my gratification from, was doing the bold stuff, something that was consequential. Yeah. Because it's as close as I can, you know, it gives me that battle, that fight that was always, because that's what I wanted to do, you know. I'm not a naturally, I don't think I'm a naturally aggressive person. Some folk
I don't know, I've seen you after a cup of coffee in the morning.
Some folk will disagree, but I don't think I naturally am. But I did always have this thing that I did want to go and, you know, fight really, and that was the thing. But to be good at it, no, I just don't, like, I'm not a flipping nut job kind of, just give me a gun to go and flipping shoot folk kind of thing, but I just always wanted a battle. Yeah. And this gives it. To being disabled gives you a battle. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just not the type I wanted, but it gives you. Maybe I should be careful what I wish for, Kim.
It's that I want to backtrack. You said that, you know, the mental side of doing bold, scary, hard stuff gives you a bit of mental control over the epilepsy. How does that work? Does it actually give you like a?
It probably doesn't, but I'm pretty sure the medical world will tell you that's a lot of shite. But, you know, if I'd listened to the medical world, I would just be sitting in the bar saying nothing all the time.
Be working in a call centre.
I think for me, because stress and whatever else can bring on epileptic seizures, I'm putting myself in, you know, what most folk would see as a really stressful situation. So if I can be in that situation and doing something physically dangerous as well and be in control of that, then I don't really consider my epilepsy that much at all. I don't see it as something that I could let it get to me, but because I know I can do these things, I know the epilepsy can't really get to me. Yeah. And it does every now and then, but it comes kind of usually if I've known my sleep pattern's been really bad for a while or whatever, and it'll just hit me. Yeah. But it's like a fit of depression that you get. It's just this black cloud, just bang. You can be fine 1 minute, and the next minute it just hits you, and down you go. Yeah. And it took me a wee while to learn how to deal with that, but I've got my coping mechanisms for that now, and basically that is get my ass up off the couch, get outside, get on the bike, get up a hill, whatever it is. Just get out, get the endorphins going, be outside. Just being outdoors for me is like, that's the big thing, that's the saviour for me.
It's that therapy.
Aye.
I interviewed Becca Drummond a couple of months ago, and she said the exact same thing. Like, you know, you can feel it when you're not quite right, and you know that it's because you've not been out. You just need to be out there, no matter what it is, as long as you're out there doing a thing.
I think if I didn't have that, I'd dread to think of where my life would have went. It definitely took a nasty direction.
So I've heard you say, and this is one of my favourite quotes from you, right? Climbing with two hands is easy, but climbing with one hand, you kind of have to think. Brilliant. Brilliant. But despite kind of knowing that, you know, climbing is just a little bit harder for you than people with two hands, 10 fingers, whatever. You still have been out soloing hard stuff, you know, climbing hard stuff, doing all these mega intense, scary lines. I know it's hard to compare feelings. And I know, like, for most people, just the idea of soloing stuff is terrifying. Like, I really don't like soloing. I'll do it very rarely. Not something that I'm going to encourage people listening. But for you, I know it's hard to compare feelings, but for you, did you feel like it was scarier, harder, more intense for you because of that? Because of, the epilepsy that might kick in, the more physical challenge that you've got? Or is soloing and it's the
For
same
me,
everyone?
I've never really thought about it in that way at all. I don't think. How do I love this? I think because I've always had that disability on my hand, it's not like I'm then getting up something and climbing it and going, oh, that would be easier if I had two hands.
Yeah.
Or that kind of thing. So, and I wasn't really into hardboard climbing until after I became epileptic, which sounds fucking insane. So I don't really have anything to compare it to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, there is times when I think, Christ, I wish I had two hands, because I could be so much better than what I am.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what I was capable of if I had two hands. In every single discipline that I climb in, I reckon I could be way better. Because for me, basically how I get better, it's all mindset.
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't always really involve that much in the way of training. It's just about how far I'm willing to.
How far are you willing to push?
To push,
Yeah.
like to take things going. So, I don't think it was anything special. I don't think what I've done is anything different from anybody else pushing their grade, if you know what I mean, or getting into anybody else soloing. I think it's all just about how far you're willing to go. Really?
Yeah.
Whether you're disabled or not.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things. No, in fact, I'm not going to mess about it. It is the biggest thing that holds people back in their climbing.
Is how far into their capability are they willing to push? How much are they willing to risk? And if you can switch that off and take that risk and go to your absolute max capability, then you're climbing so much harder than you normally are. And I think that's why you have had this awesome climbing career, this awesome climbing life, because you are able to push way further than most people are.
Yeah. I'm lucky in that I've got that mindset.
Yeah.
I would, at the time, all the things that it's taken to get that mindset, I never counted myself lucky. But it's then created this thing that I can use to my advantage. To get better at the thing that I love doing. This life that I've kind of chosen. Because that is what it is. It's a life.
Yeah, it'd be really easy to go the complete opposite way and have all of these negative things happen, just drag you down in a hole, rather than turn them around into a positive thing. Do you think without climbing, you'd ended up in that hole?
I can't really talk about where I would have ended up, but it would not have been pretty. It wouldn't have been pretty at all. For me or for other folk, it wouldn't have been pretty.
Not a good thing you found climbing then.
Climbing has been the making of me. It's saved me in every possible way you can think of. That's why climbing to me isn't just, it's not just a weekend thing. It's a thing 24/7. Even if I'm not doing it, even if I can't get out doing it because of injuries, because of family commitments, it doesn't matter. My mind is always there. And even when I've not been out for a while, and like I say, I have been injured and I've been stuck sitting, I've always got that memory that I can think back and, the routes that I've done and, think back about how good it was. And I've still got all these projects that I want to get done. So I've got that to figure out. And think about it, where am I going to go next, what's next on the hit list, everything else.
So, you've done some mega serious lines, and you just alluded to you've had injuries and stuff, hence the roller coaster journey that you've been on. But give us the highlight reel. What was the kind of your highlight routes from the heyday? Not that the heyday's over. Not what
Heyday's not over. It was just being in a wee bit of a break the nuisance. Like operations and becoming a dad has Aye, took me off for a while, but I'm getting back in my stride again. So, highlights. Everybody thinks I'm mental for this, right? And I was getting slagged off the other day there for Jamie Bankhead, who got me my job here. I love the quad rocks at large, right?
Oh God, I knew
it.
this was gonna come up.
You just don't get it, man, right? Don't fucking slag off the quad rocks or I'll chuck your laptop at the fucking window. It's the best crag in the fucking world, right?
Oh, mate.
Right, there's an
I thought you were
E3
cultured.
There's an E3 arete there with no gear on it. And I remember looking at that and it was like, you know, when I was going there at first, and I was just doing like the easy lines, and you see that, and that was like the hardest route there in the guidebook at the time. You're like, wow, man, that's like out there for me. You know, I didn't think I would ever get on it, and then eventually getting that done was definitely a big like, all right, you know, I'm relatively capable here physically and mentally. First time I did Curve Ridge, that was like a big thing for me because that was like first time scrambling in the big mountains. Probably we saw it was like November. It was minging. It was miserable, and that was like an eye opener.
How can you talk about curved ridge and quad rocks in the same sentence with straight face?
Best places in the world, mate. Then after that, not in any particular order or anything, probably solo and Fast and Furious was like a big one probably because nobody's done that before or since.
Because nobody else is that stupid.
How long ago was that?
That's a long time.
Like
That's a while ago.
No, in fact, will that be? Maybe it's 16 years ago or something like that, I think, since I've done that. So it's been a while. I'd never fucking do it again.
When was I? I think I was about 13, so 16, 17 years ago now.
It's a while. So that one, then probably getting into new route and everything after that was all like getting into new route. And so I did a new route kind of near Lochilert, God of Rebellion. It was a new E6.
Oh yeah.
It's just like a fucking stunning line, man. And that was one of these ones that came back for surgery and, you know, it meant more as well because it was like a hard line after my climbing career had been thrown into a bit of doubt. And then again, after more surgery, having come back, did a new route up in Glen Nevis called Cushy, which is like a massive thing for me. You know, to do new routes in Glen Nevis is to do new routes full stop is special, but to get them in Glen Nevis on such an eye-catching line, that's such a stunning part of the Glen was like
it's in an area that's just, you know, steeped in Scottish climbing history. To put up your own line in that is special. But
just to be that crag itself as well, man. You know, you're sitting there like between attempts or whatever, you know, or when you've topped it, you get the view out to like Steel Falls and up to the Marmors, and it's just what a place.
It's a gorgeous place to be, isn't it? Gorgeous place to be. Were any of those first ascents that you did solo, or were all the first ascents, all the solos that you did repeats?
I did new routes that were solo, definitely. But the ones that I just mentioned, they were all well, they were like protected by one wire or protected by a couple of sky hooks. You know, whatever. And then cams once you go to the safer climbing up higher. But I've definitely moved away from soloing for like a long time now. It just doesn't. It doesn't quite give me the same thing as it used to. I just hit a wall with it one day. I was out and I went to climb. I mean, I'd been soloing like, you know, up to E7. And there was one day I went out to solo on E3, and I just didn't feel the need for it anymore. Like that need for soloing that I definitely had for a long time, and it was like a real need. And it just hit me, and I just downclined for where I was, and it was like a big weight coming off my shoulders, to be honest with you, like no having that want to be doing that stuff anymore. Because it was like a demon, Ken, just like pulling at you all the time to do things like that. It was like a darker bit of my life, I guess, as well. All the kind of things were all in there. And I just don't feel that want for soloing anymore, but I do still feel the need for bold climbing. It still has to be consequential.
Yeah, still has to get you into that mindset.
Aye,
Yeah,
aye. You
into
still
that
have to
headspace,
really
like.
think about it. Aye,
Yeah,
definitely.
So Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious is a dry tooling route. For those that don't know the route, it's what grade?
T10, 10 plus,
10 plus,
something like that.
So hard.
Mhm.
Yeah. You got made a custom axe.
Yep.
From Stirling. Was it Stirling University?
The Strathclyde Uni.
Strathclyde
University.
Sorry.
Of Strathclyde.
Yeah. And that's. Did you do any winter climbing stuff before that?
Oh, aye.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd been winter climbing for a long time before. Well, I say a long time,
How did you handle the axe before?
I didn't, because this is way before you had ergonomic handles.
Yeah.
So it was just like
straight shafts.
Well, maybe no straight shafts. I wasn't no hanging about with bloody Hamish McInnes climbing. Ken, what I mean? God save
I've
no
got
that.
a straight shaft.
Don't let the fucking great. Don't brag.
Listen, Quadbox. Right, rein it in.
I'll tell you, that's going to be the most popular drag in the world before long. No, so before then, I was only really mountaineering, doing winter mountaineering.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to try winter climbing, so I went to the uni and I went to a place called Westmarket, the Southern General.
Yeah.
And they specialise in prosthetics and stuff like that, and sport to them. And it just went for there through various different versions to where nowadays I just don't use a prosthetic because the ergonomic handles allow me to hold it, and it slows down what I can do, but it also opens up a few more moves that just makes things a bit more freer, and I can wear gloves when I'm winter climbing, which is obviously a bonus.
That's nice, yeah.
So, aye.
Is climbing with tools then, does it still feel like when you had this specially made thing from uni, did it feel more like you had two hands?
Aye, like so I remember the first time trying it, and it was like that was the first time I had done something using two things the same like anybody else would do, you know what I mean? That was like the first time I'd ever done that. I was like, wow, this is what it feels like. So for a while it was a complete novelty to me. But because when I go into winter climbing, I was instantly immersed into much harder climbing with really, really fucking good climbers.
Yeah.
The guys that really pushed me, so the prosthetics weren't really keeping up with what I was doing, you know, because they were pushing me on and pushing me. Pushing me and encouraging me, you know, to try harder and harder stuff. So, I mean, like the first prosthetic came right the way down my forearm, which was alright for like, you know, anything up to like vertical climbing, but the minute I started hitting overhanging stuff, if you fell off, you could easily get like compound fracture in your arm, which I was like close to like once or twice. So then that had to move on, and then the materials that it was made of as well had to change a couple of times because it just wasn't handling.
I wondered if, you know, because once you've got axes in your hands, it's like a level playing field. Everybody's hanging on the same tips. So I wondered if it was like a proper level playing field.
It's definitely not a proper level playing field, mate, because you know when you're using axes, you can move your wrists about in any direction. When you move an axe up to torque, you just pick the axe up and torque it. But I have to move up my entire thing, and then it can only go to certain angles, which are really, really bloody painful. Yeah. You know, being in the cold, wearing just a liner glove when you're climbing, it's brutal. So it is really not a level playing field at all. Doesn't matter what. You know, I tried to convince myself it was never a level playing field.
So what made you so damn good at the dry tooling then? Because in my head I was like, well, he got so damn good at dry tooling because the axes make it a little bit more of a level playing field, like, and he can use the rest of his body and you know.
Yep, so there was a mix of these things, definitely, but the main thing for me of getting good was getting in with Scott Muir. Yeah, and Scott encouraging me,
taskmaster Muir,
pushing me on, and just watching Scott and learning from him, and then through Scott, you know, getting to meet and climb with people like Dave McLeod and Will Gadd, all these guys. I was genuinely so lucky in getting in with them. You know, that's what took me from being, it's just like in a hobby and I can't get it any further than that, really, to then meeting these guys and be like, whoa, this is like different stratosphere for where I've been, you know, because like I remember like Scott was just trying Fast and Furious. I think he just bolted it, and it was a project when I first met him, and we'd been on Ben Nevis climbing for a week. I'd actually had him as a guide because I wanted to see, you know, what I could do. We spent a week on Ben Nevis winter climbing, and then he said, "Oh, you know, come up and see the project." In a couple of weeks, like it's like, "I no problem, come up," because we got on really well. And he showed me this thing, and I just because I'd went for like second in my first winter, grade 5, and then I'm standing underneath Fast and Furious, you know, it was just like, holy shit, man, this thing's amazing looking. And Scott had like, you know, the axes with the curved handles, like the old Gravel ones. He had the fruit boots with the heel spurs and everything, so he's like hanging about upside down. I was like, this is fucking awesome, man, like I really want to try this. So just got into it, built a law in my garage back home, trained like hell. And
dry tooling is like, it's something else.
It's just great fun.
It is.
I mean, at the time I did take it really, really serious, but it's just the same as sport climbing. It doesn't give me the same. And that's not to take away from any of these things like at all, but they things don't give me the same as trad.
It's alright. This is, you know, this is Scott Rock. You can say sport climbing sucks if you want.
That's fine.
We like controversial stuff on this.
No, I remember speaking to somebody once, and I said like that is what it says. Like sport climbing is sport. That's what it is. Whereas like the trad climbing stuff, that's like like the soul.
You need the adventure to get into that headset.
That's like spirit stuff. It's fucking amazing. It's a totally different thing.
Dry tooling's a funny one. Like it's sport. It's not got that adventure, but you're still at height, swinging around sharp things, dangling from. It's crazy.
Oh, I've seen some belting injuries in dry tooling.
You've had a few.
Yeah, not as many as I have for other things, enough, but
So I said at the start, you know, your climbing career has been a roller coaster that you're still on, still screaming.
Yep.
And I don't want to delve too deep into that roller coaster because I know it was covered really well by our good friend Mr. Ewan Ryan.
Yes, it was.
At Final Crux Films. What was the name of the film again?
We need to talk about
Kev. Yeah. If anybody listening hasn't seen that film and you want to watch it, it's still on Vimeo.
It's still on Vimeo. Yep.
Still on Vimeo. You can check it out. Please do check it out because it is awesome.
Like, I'm not blowing my own trumpet in any way because I just think I talk a lot of shite most of the time, but you done a phenomenal job.
Really good job.
Really, really good. And it's not just your normal, here's somebody claiming something hard.
No.
It's definitely better than that.
Yeah. Yeah, that video's still out on Vimeo, so check it out if you want to watch all of it. But you had a bit of an accident.
Yeah.
Couple of accidents.
Just the one main one.
One big
probably.
one.
Aye. Yeah, I've had my share of like.
Aye, you've had a couple of wee ones, but like the one big one.
Aye, the big one.
That was a big recovery ride.
Still ongoing.
Yeah.
It's not a recovery anymore, it's a
managing.
Aye.
Yeah.
It's not an injury anymore. It's not an injury when you've had it for like 12 years.
Yeah. So, like I said, I don't want to go too deep into it because I don't want to talk about exactly what you put in the film. But do you want to give us the short version?
Short story. Trying a new route in winter in Glen Nevis. It's a hanging icicle. Climbed up the first sectional. Went to swing out onto a hanging icicle. Realised it was going to collapse. Basically, if it went, my prosthetic would have been in the ice. So if the ton of ice came off, it would probably have ripped my arm clean off. So I decided to get back off it and down climb to my gear and then lower off. Went to lower off for my gear ripped, and I went straight down, smashed into the deck, smashed my ankle, nearly skewered myself with my axe. I was really lucky not to have that happened. Dave was belaying me on that, and because I landed, I was like pretty much unconscious. The axe was underneath me, and he thought at first that it had just went straight through me. So, that was near.
What was the gear that ripped?
Cam.
Cams.
Shitty cams. It's always cams.
Always cams.
Always bloody cams. Every time I've hit the deck, it's been a fucking cam.
This is a good advertisement for cams, this. You want to go trad climbing, just nuts.
Maybe I'm just shit placing cams, that's what it is.
Hey, that's what happened to me, mate.
Aye.
So I'm just useless at placing cams.
I feel the right direction, that's all.
I very much appreciate the footage of Obviously, you didn't get footage of the actual fall, but I love the footage.
Unfortunately,
I love the footage of Dave just doing a little selfie video.
he had a fucking great time, But a year later, I returned that favour when he was dropped up in the glen and I carried him back out for fucking Steel Hut Crag. Yeah. But I never got any good photos, unfortunately.
Oh, mate, that was your chance to get your
own
back.
It's like a proper letdown, man.
Come on, you're just taking photos of you in the hospital.
I was too busy being fucking knackered, guy.
Aye, as much as David is a small dude, he's like got a lot of muscle. That's a heavy bloke.
Well, at least he managed to haul his cell across the wire bridge, at Steel Crag.
Oh, you didn't make him swim? Oh, I didn't make him swim.
It wasn't cold enough.
Well, fair enough.
That's pretty impressive, like how he managed to he did quite a bit at his cell as well, getting out that night with a broken ankle.
Yeah. Good effort. So what happened? Like you say, you broke your ankle, but what actually happened? Because it wasn't just like a clean break. It was
no. So I smashed my talus-bone to bits, but it wasn't picked up on the initial X-rays. So they tell me it was just a sprain. So I just went back to climbing within a couple of weeks.
Oh mate,
really? Fucked my ankle. I was back running and back up Ben Nevis again. Within weeks on a broken ankle.
Dude.
I thought
that must have hurt like hell.
Oh, it was agonisingly painful.
Why would you keep going running then?
Just because I needed to get fit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I needed to exercise all the flipping tramadol for my system that I'd been out my tits on for weeks before that, man.
How long was it before they caught the break then?
Nearly a year.
A year?
Aye, by the time I got an appointment to go get a scan, it was nearly a year. By that time it was like arthritic and stuff. So
yeah, that's it. It's done at that point.
So I've had like multiple operations, for fusions to re-breaks to bones being taken out of there and screws taken in and out, and multiple operations now.
Jesus.
And my knees are gone now, so I was at the doctor about that yesterday. So
you are getting
probably be
you are getting old.
Replacement. Oh, the hips are gone and everything, man. I can proper sit and talk about ailments for hours, no bother.
So this is going to be the new episode. We're just going to go head to toe.
Aye, yep.
All Kevs hurts.
You will be there for a while. It's on the bloody left-hand side for some reason as well.
Oh yeah, it's all left-hand side.
Left ankle. Saying that my right knee is what's starting to go.
Yeah, right. Is that overcompensating for the rest of it?
Yep. Aye. But it's get so bad I've started to use my bad ankle to compensate for my knee.
Oh, never.
It'll balance itself out at some point.
So how is it climbing on it now?
It's painful, but
just sore all the time.
You don't get calf pump in your left leg when you're winter climbing because it's fused, so you don't get calf pump.
Well, that's a good. Oh, it's fused, isn't it?
No,
that's
I don't recommend it as like a.
Look, you picture yourself as you've gone through the hardships, but you're not getting calf pump. Oh,
I've got the easy life.
You've got the easy life. Come on,
living the dream.
Living the dream. But you're still at it. Like, was it last year? Was it E5 you put?
I did a new E5.
Was that last year? Yeah. Dude, that route looked mega. Where was that? It was in the gorge down there, was it?
Yep.
Dude, what a place.
Mate, honestly, it's amazing here. I fucking love Kinloch leaving, man. Love it.
I think you're one of like 3 people that actually say that.
This is the Highland version of the Quad Rocks, basically. Everybody slags it off, and it's actually fucking awesome.
That's it. Nobody's ever going to come here again. Your route's never going to get repeated just because you.
It's an easier walk-in, right enough. It's the Quad Rocks of the Highlands. I can't wait till Jamie Bankhead hears this, but I'm going to make sure that I send this to him.
I'm going to do one with Jamie just to describe how bad the Quad Rocks is.
It's not bad. That's going to be a shot.
What is good about it? Give me one thing.
Right, the view is the best view in the fucking country for a crag. How many crags can you see all the islands with? You can see up to the Arrochar Alps, way down to Ailsa Craig, everything. It's phenomenal.
Okay, I'll give you the views pretty good.
You've got a choice of blinding chippies and large once you're finished.
Best thing about the crag.
Oh, I never said climbing as well. It's fucking awesome. I think, but I guess my kind of love for that place comes from like it was just my local crag.
Yeah,
and I did so many I did so many new routes there as well. Like when I started, like stuff that hadn't been obviously hadn't been done before.
Yeah,
you know, I've added my own wee, and I've still got one route there to go, which I've been trying on and off for like 15 years now, I reckon, and still haven't got it.
There's a route at Quadrock's too hard for you.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Don't get me wrong, I've made progress on it recently, and I'm going there this weekend to try it again. So I cannot wait. I just love being there, man. I just love the place.
It's funny, you absolutely love your locals, don't you? Like since moving up here, I miss Neilston.
See, you're slagging me about Quadrocks, you're talking about Neilston? Fuck off! Fucking Neilston! A shite-hole crag in the Grun with a fucking pylon in it, and you're slagging me about bloody Quadrocks?
Yeah.
Ram it.
Yeah,
Fuck off, man.
at least Neilston hasn't got those big ship rings at the top. What are they about?
What's it got? A view of Glasgow? Oh, lovely. Pish. I'm not having that, slagging off Quadrocks and you miss fucking Neilston.
Oh, brilliant.
I'm having to hold myself back here for what I'm saying to you now. This would be unairable.
That's kind of what I was going for.
I'm not even angry, though. I'm just disappointed.
Disappointed? Man, Neilston's great.
Said no one ever.
Neilston's great. Neilston's great. No, it's not. It's a horrible crowd. See, the whole time I lived in Glasgow, I hated it with a burning passion. And as soon as I left, I'm like,
you miss it.
I miss Neilston. Oh, man. So, what's the projects now then? Hang on, are these like in the black book? You're not allowed to tell anyone the projects? I mean, everyone knows what you can do with those axes. I don't think anyone's going to come steal your lines.
I'm not even interested in winter lines. Well, that's wrong. That's the wrong thing to say. My focus, I guess. I've no winter climbed for a couple of years now.
I didn't mean climbing.
No, it doesn't give me the same. I prefer just pure ice now.
Yeah.
I've got a real thing for pure ice climbing. I really enjoy that. But just the past couple of years between surgery and injury and being a dad and stuff, I've just not had time to get out winter climbing, unfortunately. When COVID hit, I was meant to be going to America earlier. When was I meant to be in America? February this year I was meant to be there, so my intention was to spend a few weeks because I was getting paid to go out to do a talk. So I was going to spend time out there, you know, winter climbing with the rab guys out there. But obviously that never happened. So hopefully maybe next year I'll try and get myself out to America and go on some good old water ice out there. Man. By winter wise, that's kind of what I'm thinking. The projects for the future for me, I've got one really big one that I genuinely don't even know if will be actually possible, but I'm definitely not going to talk about that. I've got a lot of rock projects all over the place. I would love to try and climb E8. That if I could climb E8, I'd be really happy that would be the.
Just got to find the right one.
And I think
have you got?
I've got a few in mind. Right. Like I was trying one in Northern Ireland, like a while back. Yeah. Like I was obsessive with getting there. Like I tried to climb it, and it was in like there was guys ice climbing at a lesser altitude than where I was climbing on it. Honestly, mate, I've got photos of me like trying to melt the ice off the handholds, like just holding them. It was insane. So I wouldn't mind getting back to Northern Ireland. I went to the Peak not long ago to have a look at stuff, but it's just a lot more polished there and things like that now, and it didn't date in it for me. So we just ended up like, you know, having a bit of crack and basically got crack climbing more doing, and it's a thing that I've never enjoyed doing, but we actually had a good laugh and just spent a couple of days doing that.
How does jamming work?
Sometimes it's fucking perfect for that one, man. It's like a mobile cam. It's like brilliant. But then if it gets too thin a crack, then it's terrifying because it's like a nut. If you fall on it, it's like going to jam proper. Whereas with my reputation of cams, I just fucking take it out. You know it's going to fall anyway. So, so rock project wise, that's it. Winter climbing wise, go to the States. I've got a lot of unfinished business with trad climbing, like places down in Aricor. What's up with this project? It's just everywhere. It's never.
There's too much.
You never get to the end of the book.
No,
get what I mean?
No, every time you tick one off, you add 5 to the list.
Aye, yeah. I've got like I enjoy moving fast in the hills. Like I love running. In the hills, so I've got plans for that. Like things that I would love to be able to achieve, but it's getting my knees and my ankle to, like, being able to maintain the fitness, but without really knackering myself as well. So I'm still
finding that
balance. Through lockdown, I only just really started on writing a book. All about
you writing a book.
Yeah, I can do some joint.
God help the editor that's got to go through that.
I don't write it the way I talk, obviously, or the way I text folk. It's in Scots. That was about basically folk with various form of physical or mental disabilities, or folk that have been through, cancer or whatever else, and how they've used the outdoors as a way of getting through, and how it helps them and everything else. So I had God knows how many folk lined up to do that, but timings wise, it just is not easy. I would probably need to quit working full time to go and focus on getting that done. So that's in the balance consideration while I'm trying to line up other work that would maybe allow that to be a bit more feasible.
Yeah.
So
that'd be cool.
The list of things that I want to achieve is
growing as big as the climbing list.
Because my daughter's at an age now, she's at nursery, it's given me a bit more time, to do stuff and things like that. So
how are you finding that balance then? Being able to get out, train, raise kids,
it's
work.
not easy. It definitely isn't easy, and I don't think you ever figure it out. Like, I'm still, trying my best just to work round about it. But priority is always going to be her.
Aye.
Get what I mean? Regardless of
course
what's going on, she is like the number one thing in my life, without a doubt. It's no climbing anymore. But like I say, she's at an age now where, she comes. We take her to like a wee crag with a back, she puts a harness on or whatever, and just a tiny wee bit of climbing. It's only like,
a bit of swinging.
10 feet or something like that, really. She'll go up, but that's it. When she comes in here, she starts bloody solo, put a harness on, she starts soloing up the slab. And I can't even be like angry about it, because I'm like, this is karma for the shit that I've brought them on my through.
Now you know how it feels.
Aye, she's mental on her wee bike. She goes out kayaking and she likes to work the paddle and stuff like that. So she's like, we walk her up to the top of the West Highland Way here, and she'll run all the way back to the village again. And my wife, she's like right into running, so hopefully she's got all these wee active genes for the 2 years, and
that sounds like it.
She'll keep it going.
It sounds like she's definitely got the adventure genes.
Yeah, she's definitely got
being out and doing lots of different things.
That's cool. It's magic. I love it, man. Love
it. So okay, are you one of the parents that is just trying to breed a belayer for yourself?
No.
Or are you letting her find her own path?
I'll let her find what she wants to do. But it's the same as like my two stepsons. We just introduce them to every sport that's outdoorsy and adventurous, and if they choose one that they want to be really good at or get into, then fire away. That's magic.
Nice.
As long as they take something.
Yeah. Here Callum's coming up on baby number 3 now.
Why would you get by one?
So I'm hoping that he doesn't listen to this, but I've got a theory. He's not going to be one of those parents that just tries to breed a belayer for himself, but he's going to breed enough of them that one of them will be.
Aye, you're right. That's a whole world of hassle. Just get yourself a bloody shunt.
That's all they've been doing, because Becca can't belay when he's on hard stuff. God. And she wants to do stuff as well, but can't fall off.
Oh,
so
you're giving me
the two of them have just been shunting.
That, man. No. Fuck that. No, one's plenty.
All right, one of the questions that Becca asked, and I think I might wrap up here because we've been going for a while.
See if you tell me this is fucking broken down
No,
now.
still running, just. What is one of the stupidest things you've been asked about your hand?
Ooh. What's the most stupid thing I've been asked?
Yeah. There's got to be some bellers or the stupidest thing someone said to you.
There was one day I was coming in here to come to work, and I was on my bike, and there was a guy standing outside, and his first question was, how do you manage to go to bike? And I just fucking looked at him. I thought, you don't even deserve a fucking answer to that, you prick. And I just fucking looked at him and just a look of, I don't even know if it was disgust or whatever it would be and just walked right past me. Fuck off, you brainless tit. I couldn't even think of a word for somebody like that, man. Aye. How do you go a bike? Well, you've just seen me fucking cycling in front of you. You arsehole. Take a look and you'll see. That's how I do it. Just painful.
How long ago was that? Last week?
That's only a couple of years ago, I think that.
Yeah, brilliant.
Morons. But we're never going to be short of them, so.
No, we're not. You should have rolled past and do like a wheelie or something like that.
That would definitely end up my arse doing that.
Proves this point.
Exactly.
Nah, man, I'm psyched to see what this project that you're not willing to talk about is.
Aye.
I'm quite psyched.
Aye, so am I. Like, there's so many good things if I can achieve them, but like, for me, they would be like lifetime goal level stuff for the next couple of years. I want to really focus on that.
Dude, that's crazy. You're talking about like now doing like the lifetime goals and stuff after, soloing E8s and
I've no solo
solo E7s and E6s. Like, that's mad, man. Like, what is this thing you've got coming? It must be mega.
That's the thing, I don't know. It's like, well, I do know about the stuff that I want to go at,
Yeah.
but I don't know what it is that constantly drives
Yeah.
that. Because, like, I'm in my 40s. I've got a bit of dad bod. I need to get my finger out and get rid of that.
I wasn't going to comment.
You're wearing Crocs. Shut the fuck up.
Look, you're jealous of these Crocs.
If the day ever comes I'm jealous of them, I'm going back to soloing again. Like,
You know fine well, Crocs are comfortable.
No, I don't.
They're worth owning because they're comfortable, but they look ridiculous. So if you're gonna
that's one thing we'll
if
agree
you're
on.
if you're gonna buy a pair, you got to get the most ridiculous pair.
Is that fucking
Pink flamingos.
Jesus Christ, man! I can't believe I'm sitting in a room with you. You miss Neilston. You're wearing fucking Crocs with pink flamingos on it. All levels are ridiculous.
You're jealous.
Brilliant. Just brilliant. I absolutely love Kev. He is one of my absolute all-time favourite people. And I'm sure he's one of your favourite people now too. And to be honest, if you know Kev, you'll agree with me that was very well behaved for him. This is definitely going to be released to the public. Wouldn't have guessed that. Well done, Kev. We're proud of you, mate. But yes, I'm sure that there is definitely one thing that Kev does when he's out, when he's not soloing. I bet he does his buddy checks.